improvement would happen after that. Unfortunately, when I reached that 2-year point, I really was continuing to have severe emotional problems, and I couldn't travel alone. But I did continue to improve after that year. My first solo travel was in 2007, 8 years after my illness, when I flew alone from our home in Vancouver, Canada, all the way to a FACES conference in Nashville, Tennessee. It went well, and I've traveled alone quite often since that time. This demonstrates the fact that along with many of you here, I'm a walking example of brain plasticity, also known as neuroplasticity. There is no limit or deadline to brain recovery. To explain this more clearly, let's get back to the year 1999. In early 1999, I was a mover and a shaker. I worked in the engineering department at the local government offices. I was trained and approved through Girl Guides of Canada to take groups of girls camping all by myself. I had designed an English as a second language course, which I titled Hello Canada, and presented at local schools to immigrants coming to Vancouver. Our family home hosted Japanese students who would stay in our house for months. If any school field trip needed a driver, I was the one they called. We had a backyard swimming pool, so ours was the house where neighborhood young people loved to hang out in the summertime. In April of 1999, our house was in a happy turmoil. Our eldest daughter was a student at the University of British Columbia preparing to become a teacher. Our son was celebrating his completion of grade 12 and his pending graduation. Our younger daughter was just finishing grade 6 at our local elementary school, and she loved to bring home her softball team for a swim in our pool during their playoffs. My husband worked full-time, then played and coached hockey through the winter, softball in the spring. Every Wednesday evening, my family would drive to enjoy tea and cookies with my parents who lived nearby. My best friends and I played penny poker every Thursday night with a couple of girlfriends. We were a typical Canadian family. Then, out of the blue, it happened. I was at my desk at work, and I'd been trying hard to shake a headache all morning. Finally, I told my co-workers, I've got to drive home. I've got to go home. And that's the last thing I remember for the next 4 weeks. I don't recall driving home. I don't recall being miserable to my family over the next couple of days. And I do not recall my own husband taking me to our local hospital's emergency ward and telling them something just isn't right about Wendy. He was told that it looked like I had the flu and he should take me home. He stood his ground and said no, and he continued to describe my issues. A passing intern overheard this conversation and said, "That sounds like encephalitis." I was diagnosed with herpes simplex encephalitis, a progressive inflammation of the brain. I was whisked into treatment, and my life was saved. I spent 4 weeks in hospital. When in hospital, I was known to hide an extra hospital gown under my pillow. Then when no one was looking, I would rip out my IVs and head for the door. When someone stopped me and said, "Why are you doing that?" I'd say, "I'm really late for work and I've got to get back." Another sad aspect of my life in my early days after encephalitis was my absolute loss of emotion. It was as if my body had decided that loving, caring, and compassion were non-essential services. At the 3-week point post-encephalitis, my husband was given permission to bring me home for a few hours to enjoy dinner with our 3 children. I remember feeling nothing. I didn't want to go, but I did not want to go. A feeling which should come naturally to a wife and a mother was just beyond my ability at that time. I did what I was told. Even now, I remember coming into the house. I remember sitting down to dinner, and I remember eating a few bites and then saying to my husband, "It's time to take me back now, please." I knew those were my children at that table. I just didn't have any emotional connection to them at all. I do realize now, of course, that my actions really dreadfully hurt my husband and my children. I knew that was my family and my home, but there was no emotion there. The switch in my head had just been set to off. I was very happy to be taken back to my hospital bed. To this day, I strive to reimburse my family tenfold for the unconditional love and support that they showed me when I dragged them through such a miserable time. Once I was discharged after 4 weeks in hospital, the problems in our family household multiplied. Although I was 44 years old, my parents now had to babysit me each day as my husband went to work and my kids went to school. On that first morning home, I was looking for a spoon to stir my coffee. I went searching through a pile of newspapers. I asked the dog, and then I checked in the freezer, but no spoons. I was just heading out the back door into the rain to search the backyard, and my mom said, what are you doing? And she showed me that I keep spoons in a drawer there in the kitchen. And one piece of knowledge that now is returned to my brain and now has remained there. Later that same day, I went to sit with my father to watch television. On the couch between us, I found this most remarkable thing. It was like a black rectangular box. I could hold it in my hand. It had numbers and letters and a little red light that came on when I pushed the buttons. I love gadgets, and I said to Dad, what is this thing? And he said, oh honey, that's your TV's remote control. It changes the channels. That was another piece of knowledge that I had to relearn. And I had many, many more pieces yet to relearn. When I was permitted to be left alone during daytime hours, I did a lot of sitting as I struggled through extreme emotional ups and downs. I was previously a very strong and independent woman. I now had some very, very low moments. The moments when my self-respect and my self-worth were lower than zero. I would spend hours rocking and weeping on the couch, trying to keep myself from calling my husband to please come home from work. Unfortunately, I wasn't always successful. It seemed that just surviving and continuing for another day was an impossible challenge. When I did break down and call my husband when he was at work, he would hear me crying and he'd say, what's wrong? What's happened? Are you hurt? I'd say, I don't know why I'm crying. Just please come home. My husband and kids kept the house and made the meals, and I was doing nothing. In fact, I felt I was nothing. With changes and limitations in my daily functioning came changes in how I perceived myself. It's quite a psychological blow to the ego from being a highly functioning person to barely managing daily tasks. At this time of my severe emotional struggles, it was suggested that I be sent for counseling. I was horrified. Me? See a shrink? I scoffed at the idea, and I sat nervously at my first appointment. But over the following months, I began to call my therapist Amazing Grace. She seemed to ask no questions, but just let me talk and find my own answers. I visited Grace when my sorrow overwhelmed me, then weekly for about 18 months. When she retired, Grace agreed when I said that I felt I was done and I didn't need any more counseling. Grace taught me that I'm at the center of my own emotions. I accepted that what I've lived through is horrible for myself and horrible for the people around me. Nevertheless, this is my life and it's time to look forward, not back. Grace helped me to understand that the brains do not completely heal in weeks or months or even in years. I am nevertheless continuing to improve. After a brain injury, one often feels that along with losing their memory, they've lost their identity. They now struggle with this invisible disability. They're no longer fulfilling their role as office worker, truck driver, parent, or whatever. It's hard to be certain now that you actually have any value to others. It's difficult now to know what to talk to other people about. And when you try, you often forget what you were talking about halfway through the sentence. People may argue with you and say, memory loss, that's nothing, I forget stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. You've all heard that, haven't you? Mm-hmm. To which I say to them, yeah, you forget things 2 or 3 times a day. I forget things 2 or 3 times an hour. Every hour.
5 minutes.
And every day. This problem makes some brain injury survivors angry. They may say that they're frustrated, scared, or hurt, but deep inside they're angry. What did they do to deserve this? Who can I blame this problem on? It is just not fair. Remember that our family, friends, and caregivers, they're also angry. They're not angry at us, but rather at the situation in which they are now thrust. Many survivors will see friends and family members drift away. Caregivers and loved ones often see this as they lose the support of the people around them. I was assisted in the first steps of my own recovery by my husband and my father. My husband would encourage me to accompany him to walk our dog around the block every evening after dinner. Twice a week, my dad would park his car out front of our house, and we'd go walking to a nearby coffee shop. He would offer to buy me lunch, I would decline, and he would insist, and we'd each have a cup of soup. Delicious, healthy, homemade soup. I would eat maybe half of it. and then we'd walk home. Total distance there and back, perhaps a mile. Did I enjoy these walks with my husband or my father? No, I really didn't. I would have much preferred to stay indoors, but these walks pulled me out of my shell, out of the safety zone of my own home, even though I would have much rather stay there. My husband and my father were two people in my life who I sincerely love and respect, and I'd paint a smile on my face and go along with them. It was a large step in my recovery when I learned to accept assistance from others. That is a real toughie. I've learned to appreciate and accept the help that I receive from family and from friends. I now respect the fact that they're actually making this journey with me. I've learned to appreciate and grow from the unexpected compassion of strangers who barely know me. A high school friend who I'd not seen for a number of years, she heard about my illness. Melanie pledged to visit me every Thursday. At first, she would bring muffins and fruit to the house and we'd sit and talk. After a few months, she began taking me out to a local coffee shop so that I would have the opportunity to do a bit of shopping. 17 years later, Melanie and I still do lunch, but now I drive out to her house once a week. But friendships don't always continue to succeed. Post-encephalitis, my poker playing friends encouraged me to return Thursday night playing. I wasn't allowed to drive at the time, so my best friend would pick me up on Thursday night. As we sat around one woman's dining room table, I just couldn't keep up. These women, they were talking, they were playing cards, they were smoking, they were drinking, and they were snacking simultaneously. I could hardly believe I'd ever had the ability to do all that stuff all at once. I tried for 4 weeks, and finally I had to phone my friend and say, I'm sorry, no more. I can't keep up. I didn't care that I was losing at poker, it was not important, but it was just that I couldn't keep up with all of them. To this day, it concerns me that I hurt my friend deeply. She ceased responding to my calls and emails, and we no longer socialized. There came a time after encephalitis that I wanted to do more. I realized I just couldn't sit home every day. My first attempt was not a good one. Previous to encephalitis, I'd been teaching living skills to new Canadian residents in a class that I called Hello Canada. I'd been contacted by a previous student to see if I could return to coming to their home. I said, sure, I'll come to your home, I'll start next week. As days passed, I realized I was not going to make it to their house. My self-confidence was non-existent, and I was riddled with worry, fear, and concern. How could I do this every week? I'm embarrassed to say that the day before our class, I bought a bunch of flowers and attached a note with an apology that I couldn't teach them. I tiptoed up and left it on their doorstep, and I never heard from them again. So now I knew I had to start smaller, a lot smaller. One day, walking home from shopping, another woman was walking down the street in the same direction. I don't know what caused each of us to say hello and start a conversation, but we did. It turned out she lived right around the corner from me, and 3 doors down. We started walking together once a week, and we moved on to having tea or lunch once a week. There were some weeks at first when my self-confidence was low and I really didn't want to go meet June. I really, really didn't want to. But having made a date, I pushed myself to go do it. June never met the old Wendy, and she often tells me that she sees nothing wrong with me. June and I are still best friends, and we meet every week. This friendship was born post-encephalitis, and that was very empowering. I continued to want to do more. In 2007, a local charity was having a fundraising 10K run near our home, and the planning committee was looking for volunteers. I signed up 2 weeks in advance, and I was just a bucket of nervous anticipation. On the day of the event, I was given a hat and a name tag to show that I was on staff. I was assigned to a certain spot on the run route to hand out bottles of water and encouragement to the runners as they went by. As I stood there handing out the bottles with a smile, each runner actually smiled back at me. Some of them said thank you. As they ran past, they were thanking me. It was so empowering. I was sorry when the day ended. I came home with such a smile on my face. It was a challenge, but I had done it. And the best thing was, nobody there knew that I had had encephalitis. They had welcomed me as Wendy. No one kept an eye on me, no one monitored me, no one criticized me, no one supervised me. I had encouraged each runner as they went past, and damn it, it felt so good about doing so. Since that experience, I've learned the value of putting other people first. Helping at that 10K run was where I first learned that the most self-empowering thing to do is to help other people. Most of the successful things I was accomplishing before I had encephalitis are activities which I can no longer fulfill. But it was time to redesign myself. I'm now Wendy 2.0. I know that back in 1999, my husband and our family doctor had very little success as they searched the library and the internet to understand more about encephalitis. In the year 2000, I started a modest online discussion forum titled Encephalitis Global. My goal was to reduce the endless searching for information in layman's terms, in normal talk, for future families touched by encephalitis. I met online another survivor of encephalitis, Ingrid Gersey of New York. For the first 2 years at this discussion forum, Ingrid and I had a lot of aimless messaging back and forth. How was your weekend? Oh, fine. How was yours? Because we wanted to keep this forum going, but we didn't have an awful lot of people joining it now. We've taken some large steps since that time. Encephalitis Global, as you know, is now a USA nonprofit organization. Our interactive Inspire forum is the most active encephalitis forum and the largest in the world, with more than 4,500 members? Yeah. As most of you know, our forum offers practical advice, links to professional medical information, and words of simple, unadulterated compassion. In the process of starting at zero halfway through my own life, I've learned how to meet my fears and move beyond them. A good friend and brain injury survivor once shared his excellent outlook on life when he said to me, "Wendy, I have moved on from blissful ignorance of my disability, through overwhelming anxiety, resentment, and anger, to gratitude for what I have left, what I can do, and what may grow fuller in time. Things can get better." I'd like to end this by reading a piece which I wrote after I became ill. You've each got a little bag there? Mm-hmm. Okay, I need one. All right, this little piece is called "You Are Not Alone." I felt at times I'd lost my way. My life became so blue, I thought I'd lost my marbles. I think others thought so too. Post-E, I lost things all the time, forgot my where and when. I couldn't be left home alone. I couldn't find a spoon or a pen. My husband and 3 children, it hit them all so hard to lose their wife, their friend, their mom. It caught them all off guard. Now I know, despite the odds, my marbles may be few, but please remember, here and now, life can be damn fine too. So keep these marbles close at hand and hold them when you need to recall you found at Faces. Support and friendship, guaranteed. Yellow for the sunrise, red for the sunset, white for the snow, and green for the earth. There's feathers. There's silver beads on the talking stick. Each side of the globe bead represents the people standing side by side, holding hands and supporting each other, and that is us. We're going to pass this talking stick around the room. When you're holding the talking stick, everyone will listen with support, compassion, and harmony. Please tell us your name and perhaps where you're from and what type of encephalitis you had. When you're finished speaking, pass the talking stick to someone next to you. If you don't want to speak, that is really, really, really okay. Accept the stick and just pass it on. Absolutely no problem. So we'll start over here. And you'll be meeting this as well. You can sit or stand, whatever you like.
Hi, my name is Julia Sandoval, and I'm from California, and I'm here with my husband, George, who got autoimmune encephalitis in 2012. And the only thing I can really say is it's 4 years for him this month, and he is still getting better, so keep hold of that, and it's true what they say.
Hi, my name's Oliver Searchfield. I live in Bisbee, Arizona. I contracted herpes simplex encephalitis when I lived in Connecticut in January of 2000. Oh, sometimes I don't trust my brain to gauge, am I getting better? Am I not getting better? I can't remember, am I getting better? So, I don't know. Cross your fingers, and it does get better for at least the first 5 years. After that, I don't remember. So who knows? Next.
Hello, my name is Matt. I'm from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I have Hashimoto's encephalitis, and I guess that's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Willett, and I am Matt's wife. Kelly?
Hi, I'm Gary Dennis, and I'm the husband of Becky Dennis, who will be a speaker on Sunday, and she's an 8-year survivor. And you can probably not tell which of us has it, so it's to be along with some other speakers this weekend, you'll look forward to hearing from her, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Here's Bob.
I'm Bob Morgan from Wendy Station, Texas, and I got this thing. I lost my train of thought. Oh,
It happens.
I got environmental encephalitis back in 1998, and I recently had my 18th anniversary. On April Fool's Day, I drove myself to the ER, paralyzed my right side, and things just kept going from there. So, but I've been getting better and better, and it just takes time, and I've had to learn patience. And so this is a hell of a way to learn patience, but hang in there, and it'll keep getting better. 2 pieces here.
It is 2 pieces.
Been around a while. Who are you? Joel Sue. And you? And
Okay. I'm Debbie Gross. I'm Carol Sousa's sister. Carol had encephalitis back in 1955. Back then, they told Mom and Dad Carol would never walk or talk, put her in an institution. We finally figured out, because the doctor she went to really didn't know, they kind of thought it was flyby. Thanks to Father Bob, in 2011, when I was talking to Dr. Sabeo Clinic, it was my mom's, what my mom always thought. Mom had the mumps when Carol was 10 months old. I was 20 months old. Mom sent me to grandma's, but she wanted to keep the baby home. So Carol contracted the mumps. The mumps is what caused Carol's encephalitis. She was in a coma for quite a while, and when we were little, and I really have to praise my parents for keeping us informed. Mom would always tell me Carol's sleeping. And she'd keep Carol's bedroom door locked so I couldn't go back and be nosy. And when Carol came home, they said she wouldn't walk or talk. We have pictures where she's kind of slopped over, she couldn't sit upright. But we had no therapy, we had no support group. And so Mom put a harness on Carol and made her walk. She'd sit down, she'd squat on the butt, let the strap. Like it really hurt on a diaper on back then. And Carol learned to walk. Back then they didn't have No Child Left Behind, so Carol got stuck with that label, MRDD, which I fought and fought, finally got that off. I finally have it on her ISP, which is an individual service plan, that she is an encephalitis survivor. And she's pretty happy, you know, and we met Ingrid and Wendy on the old chat board back in '07 because I was bored and Googling it, and happened to find it and saw when they were going to go to Nashville, and they couldn't get enough people, but we went anyhow. That changed Carol's life forever. And one thing Becky said back then, she kind of used to, or Wendy said, just a little bit different words. We may forget something once or twice a day, but the encephalitis survivor will forget it 20 times a day. I tell that to all of Carol's caregivers all the time. And it's just, it's amazing. I mean, Carol since 2011, and the people who know her will have seen the change in her. She's really come out of her shell a lot. That's me. Now I'm Debbie, her sister. Am I here? Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Millie Whitaker. I'm from Lawrence, Michigan, which is up in the UP. And I moved to Lawrence, I think about 2009. And in 2011, my daughter Heather, I got a call from the hospital. She was in the hospital and they were fairly sure it was pretty serious. But fortunately, she had had an MRI or brain scan done a few months prior, And when they redid it, they saw the inflammation immediately and started her on the aciclovir right away. So we were very, very fortunate in that respect.
My name is Heather, and I have another disease, so I really want to say, hi, my name is Heather, I'm an addict. So I'm used to speaking in public, but yeah, this disease, at the time that I got it, I was in line to chair the next convention, and it's 500 people. Obviously, I couldn't do that, and my life has changed drastically. But I feel very fortunate that I was in a area with such a great facility. Transferred me to U of M Hospital, and immediately, well, not immediately, but after a lot of testing, they found out pretty quickly what was wrong. And so I'm grateful that we can walk and talk. And I know that others have been affected more severely. So grateful for the support in my life. Glad to be here. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Claudia Ray. I am from Texas. I live in Fort Worth. I became ill in January of 2014, and being ill is far more difficult than not being ill, and so I was very sorry about that. I was very not in effect. You know, there was no me home for like 9 months or so. And when my me came back, I was here for a day. I didn't have it yesterday. I didn't have it tomorrow. I was just here for today. That has gotten gradually better. In the last 3 months, I have learned to talk. My speech is so much better. Like, I can find the words I need to speak when I speak, which makes me very glad, you know, that I can speak. Now, I cannot write. So there are people who've known me for a long time who knew my writing and fully expected me to be writing, don't understand why I'm not writing, but I can't write. I don't know the words. I have to have a dictionary to write anything that's short, that's not short. You know, I can write something on a card that goes out on, I'm not going to say the word right, but there's something on the channel, on the news, not the news. I can't speak correctly. There's something on the internet, thank you, that you can write a note on. And I can do that because I can make it short. I can, you know, not use a lot of words, and it works out fine. They write me back shortly, you know, and so there are things that I can use that are different when I have to write, but most of the time I just talk because I can talk well, and I really appreciate that. And I totally agree with the idea that you get better. I got sick in January of 2014, and here we are several months after January in 2016, and here I can stand up and talk, and I'm so pleased about that.
My name's Patty Stevens, and I'm Jennifer's mother, and I've been walked along with her.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Stevens. I'm from Seattle. I'm coming up on my 1 year anniversary. It's been kind of emotional. I'm having just strange moments as I think about it. But I had a kind of an unusual form of encephalitis, which was autoimmune encephalitis post-herpes zoster. So I had a shingles attack, and instead of it being viral and bacterial, my immune system attacked me. So it's been quite an experience, and but I'm just glad to be here and to say that the news group, I don't want to say it saved me, but it really was very important to me because I felt very lost and just didn't have a lot of resources, and so I really appreciate it.
Excellent.
Yeah, I like that one.
Hi, my name is Evelina, and I'm originally from Poland, and I do agree with what you say about looking for words. And I didn't really realize I was looking for English words after I got sick. I got sick in July of 2014. Later, when I was Skyping with my friends in Poland, I realized it's my native language where I'm really missing words, not the foreign one that I use every day. So it must be a different part of the brain where the foreign languages are stored. And luckily, I don't really have to use my native language that much every day, unless somebody here speaks Polish. I had my acute onset in July of 2014, a week after I quit breastfeeding my daughter. Interesting. And I was diagnosed in June of 2015.
2015?
Mm-hmm. So I'm still actively getting treatment. I am an addict. I'm addicted to immunoglobulin. And it gives me a really bad headache, but it makes me feel really great. Just the opposite to alcohol, which first makes me feel great and then gives me a headache. And throughout this whole journey, I was misdiagnosed with epilepsy because I had severe seizures. Throughout this whole journey, no doctor wanted to put me on disability, so I never missed a day of work.
Oh.
I did drive myself to work, even though I was told not to drive. I lived 5 minutes from my office. And I would walk into my building and look around and had no clue where my office was. My boss literally turned my life into a living nightmare. Accused me of having behavioral outbursts. I probably had them. No, honestly, he was right. But I changed jobs last year, and it was the best new beginning. You know, it's exactly what you're saying about leaving the people who knew you before behind, keeping only the ones who understand or try to understand, and changing that environment to have a fresh start where people don't know that I never took notes before, and people don't know what I was like before. So my type of encephalitis is, originally I don't have a thyroid anymore, so originally it was a Hashimoto encephalitis, it was the G8065 antibody. And I was supposed to improve that after my thyroidectomy, but it's actually also my pancreas, so it's not going to go away. But then again, I actually feel really lucky. I'm working in life. I have a wonderful 3-year-old daughter, and you know, I forget the bad things before I forget the good things, which is honestly, a lot of people got clean slate with me.
Did you want to keep this? Oh. Hi, my name is Kathleen. Girlfriend to Matt. We're actually from Cleveland. Matt got encephalitis in February of 2013. If it's taught me anything, it's patience. I've always done things in fast forward, and this has all taught me how to slow down in life, so.
Hi, I'm Mary Karlovic. I'm Matt's mom. Matt, as Kathleen said, he was teaching autistic kindergartners in 2013, his first year of teaching, and he got a bad case of the flu. And for 2 weeks, it continued, and one night, about 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard this whispering voice, "Mom," and found him on the floor in his bedroom, seizuring, to the point where the paramedics had to stop 5 times on the way to the hospital just to revive him so that he would live. They life-flighted him to Cleveland. We're so fortunate that we have wonderful hospitals here. And they diagnosed it right away, that it was viral encephalitis unspecified. They told us at that point that he probably would never get better. He couldn't do anything. He spent about 4 months, 5 months in a rehab hospital, learning literally everything. over again. He does wear headphones because he has sensitivity to sound. He wears sunglasses because he has excruciating sensitivity to light. He is learning to walk again. He has 5 goals in life. He wants to teach again. He was an awesome kindergarten teacher. He wants to coach baseball again at the high school level, which is what he was doing at the time. He wants to marry Kathleen, who's been stuck by him for 6 years. And I understand the friends leaving, the family kind of walking away. And that's been the hardest thing for Matt, is why are they doing that, Mom? They've been my friends, why are they not here now? And he wants to be able to do those 3 things. He wants to be able to, what's number 4? Coach base, marry Kathleen. His last one's drive a car, but he knows that's going to come in a long time, even though he does have his driver's license again. So, but I don't remember what number 4 is. Matt, teach kindergarten, coach baseball, marry Kathleen, work hard to get better.
My name is Crystal. I'm from here in Cleveland. I was diagnosed in 2008, and I was paralyzed. I also had viral meningitis. But I'm walking now, so I'm thankful. My daughter was 2 when it all happened, so that was awkward, but it's all right now.
I just want to say thank you guys for doing this. I mean, I just feel like we're all family.
Absolutely.
As we're hearing each story, it's like we're all so different and unique, but we all are so similar also that we can understand and forget what we just understood. So, my name is Chris Maxwell. I met some of you last year. I had viral encephalitis March 6, 96, and the brain works 3/6/96. Everything became a game in this new brain of mine after that, and was pastoring a church in Orlando, Florida. I was a writer, a scholar, and now I'm just a poet, and I tell stories, and just learn to love life in a new way. I'll have some of my books out tomorrow. I've written my 7th book since post-illness 7th book just came out, and it's just like a miracle because I had to learn to read and write again. And severe scar tissue in the left temporal lobe, living with epilepsy. But I'm just, again, thank all of you for being here, and I love this life because we feel so alone so often, but I believe it's healthy for us to move from the singular to the plural, and us be in this life together. So thank each of you.
Thank you.
My name is Bob Roberts. I'm here with my wife Pat and David. David had Rasmussen encephalitis when you were 16, 17? 17. He's currently working full-time. He's on right now, he's in his 3rd job in the last 6 months. We've gone through some job changes, but they're very positive. 6 months ago, Dave came to me and said, I'm only working 20 hours. And he wanted full-time.
I'll finish. Bottom line, Dave, the job changes were due to the fact that David wanted to move forward, and the various things that he's always worked, even though, from 17 on. There was a decline in 2008, and so David was one of the last people in one of his jobs to be laid off. They liked him so well. So he went out, and we said, well, you gotta volunteer then. You can't just stay home, you gotta volunteer. So he found a volunteer position with Independence First in Milwaukee, and look it up. 90% of the people who work at Independence First are physically handicapped, and they were very understanding. David liked what he did. He was rehabbing computers, rebuilding them for the poor, and so he volunteered 40 hours a week. So that's pretty darn courageous. Well, as Bob started to say, he had a job in St. Paul, and they bumped him down to 20 hours, and he came to Bob and said, I don't want to work 20 hours, I want to work 40. So Dad went on the computer, and they found him a job in an auto dealership. One didn't work out really great, so he quickly, within a week, found another one, and they hired him on the spot. And it has opened up, it's these small miracles, and I think that's really important for us to really dwell on, is look at the small miracles. I mean, he found a beautiful place to live, and it's truly a miracle. I'll tell you the story later if you want to hear it. It's a miracle. And, this job he really got interested in detailing, and I do believe that that's going to be a career for a real career for him someday. He's practicing constantly. If anybody lived in the St. Paul area, you could get your car done. Because he's got really the things going on for it. And I don't know if you know about Rasmussen's encephalitis. It's very rare, and it was a tremendous difficulty getting it diagnosed, and I don't think it was diagnosed as quickly as it could have been. We went through a lot of stuff, and we can't go back. But he's always moved forward, very independent, very stubborn. I don't know where he gets that. It's in the gene pool somewhere, but the message is that what you have to do with all of this, and we've heard it all evening, is count the small miracles and count every day and move forward. It's all yours, Dave.
Hold it here. I'll hold it. I
I'm Dave, and I don't want to say.
We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm Tammy Morgan. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm not gonna cry, but I'm here with Vicki and Cindy Foster. Vicki raised me, as funny as that may sound to any of you, but her and her husband raised me, and Cindy is my little sister that I love with all my heart. She got sick in 2011, and I could narrow it down to the day that I wasn't with her, but she's extremely special. She's my inspiration. When I think life is too hard, I think about Cindy. And I feel like a big baby. She's amazing. She's a fighter. And I love her.
I'm Cindy Foster. I'm from Central Illinois. I survived, I can't say the words here.
Encephalitis, meningitis, and status epilepticus.
Yeah, those things.
Wow.
And I can't say that. And I recently get to be involved in research, and I just want to tell all of you guys that even though you guys may think that you aren't helping anybody or helping, even though someday you think that you're a piece of trash or you think that you're not helping anybody, you really are. Just keep pushing forward, because someday you're a little, like, I don't know, you're a little, like, bump in the road may turn into just, just keep pushing forward, because your little flaw may help somebody else someday. So just keep moving forward, because someday it'll get better, even though you may think it
Yeah, I'm Vicki. I'm Cindy's mom. Short version is she had a sudden onset of some flu-like symptoms, was hospitalized locally for a week, flown to Barnes in St. Louis, who live in Central Illinois, and was in a medically induced coma for 2 months, where she had over 200 seizures in a day's time. Spent 3 months at a rehab facility relearning how to sit up and hold her head up and walk and all of those things. So she has some learning issues now and some a very active seizure disorder still, which we're very lucky to have, very blessed to have the epileptologist that we have, because he's very proactive, and she's extremely excited about being a lab rat. She'll tell you that with a grin on her face to help somebody in the future. We have learned a lot on this journey about ourselves. We have learned a lot about encephalitis, a lot about brain injury, a lot about seizure disorders, and a lot about human nature and a lot about God.
I'm Sarah. I have Hashimoto's encephalitis. I was diagnosed in 2007, but I was actively searching for help for 5+ years prior to that, but was told it was all in my head. You'll see a shrink, which I had already been seeing shrink, and so it's not in your head, but kept on going. Fighting. That's all I can say right now.
My name is Nicola Nelson, Nickelodeon on Inspire. And first, I just want to say how incredible it is to me to have so many people here with autoimmune forms of encephalitis and encephalopathy. I myself have Hashimoto's encephalopathy from having had Hashimoto's encephalitis. I started along with another person from Inspire. Her name is Perfect on Inspire. Her name is Susie Foley, but she and I together formed a nonprofit, HISA, which is the first nonprofit in the world devoted to Hashimoto's encephalopathy, which is also known as steroid-responsive encephalopathy associated with thyroiditis. It's a mouthful. And those of you who first met me at my first conference in 2011 might be surprised to see how well I'm speaking, because back when I first came, my speech, I struggled a lot with aphasia, and my speech has gotten much better over the years. And I don't know what else to say except I live in Illinois, and I look forward to talking to everybody who's here who has an autoimmune form of encephalitis or encephalopathy, because I feel as though I really wanted to talk to each of you and learn from your experience, since it's so poorly understood. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nicola's husband, Steve, and I think as a caregiver, I may have had a similar experience with other caregivers. You see the person you love that sort of does this instant, immediate fade away thing, and I know we all complain about, yeah, my memory's going this and that, but for them it's like turning off a light switch, and at least in my case, I've been able to watch her over the years heal and get better and reemerge, and as was stated by this young lady here, actually find some good purpose in life and things to do, and actually find a way to help others. And so for those that maybe are in the initial stages, you can take heart, things get a little better, and you don't, in quotes, go back to your old normal self, but in Nicola's case, her old personality's reemerged, and she's the same person she always was. And it's really great to see someone heal, the brain heals, and find a new purpose in life. So for everybody here who has a loved one that's going through it early on, take heart. Things do get better. So.
Hello, I'm Chris Bridges, and I got encephalopathy 8 years ago. And further you get better, I went to the doctor Thursday last, and he told me after 8 years, you can drive. So yeah, things aren't as they are pre-encephalopathy, but we can be happy and we can give to others.
My name's Joel Bridges, and this is my better half, still is. And the thing I wanted to say is thank you. It has been an honor and a privilege to get to know half of you half as well as you deserve, and the other half of you I'll get to know half as well as you deserve. You inspire me every day. You help me to understand what it's like, what it really means to be a person who does and gives and does the best they can. We don't often see people who are really giving 100%. But I meet encephalitis survivors every day, and that's what I can say about them. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm excuse me. Hi, I'm Bob.
Hi, Bob.
That's a 12-step meeting. I got ill 6 years ago, and I was in South America. My wife, fortunately, was with me because I think I probably would be dead at this point because I don't think I would have gotten the care I needed. Viral meningoencephalitis, meningitis and encephalitis. Rehab for several months. I'm really fortunate to be as functional as I am, and I'm really pleased to have gotten to know many of you, and as many of you survivors have already expressed, kind of connecting with people through Inspire and Encephalitis Global was life-affirming. Suddenly, there are people out there that understand what you're going through. It's even hard for our loved ones, I think, to fully appreciate the isolation that you experience. But life is a lot better now than it was 6 years ago, and in many ways, maybe better than it was before that too. So, I'm really glad to be here.
Our stick is falling apart. There are pieces on the floor. So you've already met me. I'm Dale. Excellent, you got the piece. Now I'm old. I wish it would have been easy. So I'm going to be giving a long talk on Sunday about various types of encephalitis, including Hashimoto's, and so I'm going to try to make it a broad, because I think it's really important, and we brought it up a bit here, that people have to know that it's more than one disease. It comes from many different places, and our physicians really don't understand that, and I'm going to try to make a point of that, how we can get them to understand that. And I think a lot of us have done that in our own personal way, but we could probably do better. I was very lucky to have a primary care physician who rushed me to the hospital right away, but I think a lot of people are not that fortunate. So the other thing I wanted to say is, with this time of healing, which Wendy has made a big point of over the years, and I really strongly believe in, we were told, got out of the hospital, oh, you'll be better in a year, and then nothing. I think everyone in this room who's gone past a year could say, that is absolutely not true, and I was going to use a bad word there, but because I'm from New York. But I would have gone beep. Actually, not anymore. I moved to Syracuse, so I can't speak that way anymore, but it really is absolutely true. And I can say in the last year, even, I had encephalitis in 2009, so it's relatively long for me. Last year has gotten immensely better. I'm writing a book. I'm working more than half time, and it really is amazing to me that I'm the place I am. So I think you all, it's really true that, you know, it's not like we're just rah-rahing each other on. It is true that we get better. We have to feel that, and we have to know it, and it will happen. And I think it's very important that we keep that going with one another. And so that's my big reason for being part of the board of Encephalitis Global, is that I want to be a rah-rah. So thank you. Let's get over here. I want to speak to you. She doesn't want to say anything.
You don't want to know it. A lot of Siberians have that beautiful woo kind of thing. No, she sounds like somebody stepped on her throat.
Aw, she's so sweet.
Yeah, and she doesn't understand what I'm saying about it.
There we go.
I had an idea I was going to say, and then everybody else is looking at it. Okay. So, I'm Kelly, this is Eva, and I've practiced saying it many times, acute disseminated encephalomyelitis.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I have practiced that so much. In October of 2014, I had what all my coworkers thought was the worst cold imaginable, because they had to hear it and listen to me gap. And first hospital thought I had bronchitis. Went to the emergency room the next week, and it was really bad. And then, so they gave me some drugs and sent me home. And I was talking to my dad outside the pharmacy, waiting for my stuff, and it's the last thing I remember. And so apparently I did go home just fine, and slept just fine. And the next day I called my parents and told them it felt like I had pins and needles in my head. And so they take me back to the emergency room, and they kept me overnight, admitted me to the hospital, and by then I was in a coma.
Oh, boy.
And then they bused me up to Portland for the big hospital, and I was in that coma for 5 weeks. And, where you go? And so at first it was, the confusion of, well, when I woke up I was paralyzed and didn't, not only was my brain messed up, my body wasn't working anymore. So after fighting to get through, walking again and learning how to chew and swallow and everything again, and I was really hit like how much of the encephalitis was the issue. So now that the first part's done, although I'm still kind of goofy on the left side, but yeah, so then I forgot what I was going to say after that.
You did it great.
Thank you. I'm Ryan. Does it sound okay back there?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I don't do mics normally, so I'll give it my best. So I hope I get your names right. Gregory, sounds like, or George, sounds like you and I got encephalitis at the same time, which is quite interesting to hear. Also, sorry, this is my first time, so I'm a newbie here. But I was really looking forward to hearing tonight. I really wanted to hear what everybody else's story was. I also hope I get your name right. Cindy, sounds like you and I are kind of going through the same thing. And yeah, not a lot of fun. As well, I really hope I get your name right. I'm sorry, I can't remember the girl who speaks Polish. Oh, okay, thank you. Some of your symptoms kind of sounded very similar to mine. I'd really like to get to know kind of the battle you went through as well. I've been going through this for 4 years now. I would agree it does get better, or at least it seems to get better as time goes on. And I've really noticed that over, I'd say, the last 2 years. However, my problem...
Okay, go ahead.
No, actually,
No, we're
okay, all right. I have sudden onset seizures, and
There you go, Dylan.
Hi, I'm Ryan's mom. This is Ryan. This is his wife Tamara, and my husband John. We're from Calgary, Alberta.
Canadian.
Hey. Yeah. Ryan got sick in 2012, which was April 2012. Same thing. He dropped at work, and they didn't know what the problem was with him. He was taken to the hospital where they still didn't know what the problem was, and he was in a coma for 4 weeks, and in the hospital for 10 weeks. They didn't know what was really happening, and so they did a whole body scan and found that he had a rare tumor on his pancreas at 27 years old, and it had to be taken out. They figured that when they took the tumor out, that the seizures would stop, because that's what the problem was he went into status right at the very beginning. And the seizures didn't stop. So they looked for a long time to find out what else it would be, figuring that there's another cancer within his body, and they haven't found that. But what they did do was they were able to find an antibody that they had looked for over and over again. So he's got a GAD65 antibody, which is the same as what we have already heard tonight. His numbers have been coming down, extensive treatment. I'm usually with Ryan in the daytime while his wife Tamara goes to work. Dad fills in too, and we kind of work as a team together. And, you know.
So I'm John, and I guess what really struck me, Wendy, I look at this and We Are Not Alone. I remember looking at a video a while ago about a previous conference, because I've never been to one of these before, and I saw the talking stick make its way around, and I kept thinking, well, what would I talk about? And I kept thinking I'd be talking about something that sounded very unique. I thought Ryan's situation was kind of unique, because when you go through it, you feel like you're the only one that's going through that. And I guess what's really struck me is how many times somebody has said something. There's a piece here, piece there, piece there, that sounds almost exactly, the sensitivity to light, the blinding headaches, that kind of stuff. And it is a whole lot of things that just sounded very, very familiar, because we went through it all. And so that's where I think, as Ryan said, this is very helpful to hear how many other people have experienced the same sort of things. And so you got it right with You Are Not Alone. So I certainly appreciate that. So what time is it? You've got, there's still a lot of time on the agenda. You did the whole agenda. Do you want to? No? So where does it go now?
Is that it?
Well, what about Dave? Dave, aren't you going to talk?
Yes, we have one more person. I'll come and get
I would love to talk, but you're going to hear me tomorrow. So.
That's true.
I would like to say, though, I think all you guys are wonderful for telling your story. I think it's a wonderful thing. I always feel stronger when I'm with you guys. I feel like, thank God I'm sitting next to somebody that I don't have to explain things to, because they're going through it too. And I think you guys are doing an awesome job, and I'm so glad I came.
Absolutely.
Hi everyone, I'm Ingrid, and I had, I'm one of the founding members here of this group, so I had a group on Yahoo. Some of you may have started out on that one. And after Wendy joined that, she's the computer whiz, and she's the one who got us the real website and got us into the nonprofit organization. So she's the person we thank for everything. But when I started the group, there were like 15 members, and now we have over 4,500 members worldwide. So the place has really grown. But I just want to say, In December, I had my 20th anniversary of survival. And it is amazing for all of the memory issues that I've had. And I've had a lot of them, and I can't spell the way I used to. But the one word I have never had a problem spelling is encephalitis. And I can type it blindfolded, whatever. That word just pops out at me. But anyway, this group keeps, unfortunately, getting bigger and bigger. But I'm so glad that we do what we do and that we have a time of year when nobody is alone. And his wife, Becky, happens to come to New York on business trips, so I get to see another survivor more often than other people do. So that's really cool. So anyway, thank you all for coming and being here and just sharing. And it is your turn. You, Janice.
I'm Janice Washer, and I'm Dave Washer's wife.
Hi, Dave Washer.
Pretty much, he'll do enough talking for, for me. Anybody else?
That's everyone. Yeah.
Well, when Zaina was diagnosed with herpes, and that was after they told her that she had heat stroke and she had heat exhaustion, and they sent her home, and then the third time in the hospital, they finally, when she went psychotic, they decided to do something. Zaina was 7 months pregnant. So they also had to deliver my grandson 2 months early while she was in a coma. So she's had a lot of challenges. And lucky for me, I was able to move her into an apartment or like a townhouse right beside my house. So for 5 years, her first 5 years, I was right there beside her when she was trying to raise her son. So I'm very protective of my little girl. But she has come a long way. And but she's never met anybody with encephalitis.
Well, here we are.
So, thank you.
How long ago were you out?
In 2001. And then and a couple of years ago, then I had meningitis.
Oh, no.
I'll give you a hint as you look around the room. Look at the name tags. If the name is printed in blue, that person is an encephalitis survivor. If it's in green, that person is a loved one, a caregiver, a family member. And you will find when you look around the room, you can't really tell one from the other. It's just a subtle little whisper. If you want to take a second look at the name tags, and you'll know. Anyway, please help yourselves, have something to eat, and enjoy the rest of the evening.